Students, now you will learn fourth lecture of organizational dynamics module, that is organizational change. Change is very common practice and very necessity, very useful. Of course, you can say the need of the hour. Students, organizational change is something like that, accepting new ideas, new practices or new opinions for the attainment of organizational goals, ultimately that lead to effectiveness, organizational effectiveness. So, change is very common process, very common activity of any organization. If there is no change, there will be no development. Now, questions arise, what way you can change our organizations in different activities, in different functions, in different system, and what kind of model are there for changing organization. Mindset of the people, organizational practices, nurturing change management process, all these things we will be learning out of this lecture. It will be theoretical as well as some example which can shape you to nurture change process in your organization. See some of agenda of today's discussion, this particular part. What is organizational change, causes of organizational change, process of organizational change, resistance to change, resistance at individual level, resistance to change at group level, resistance to change at organizational level, overcoming resistance to change, Lewin's 3-step model for implementing change and the change agents. See, some of points here we narrated, which is resistance to change. 3 different levels, individual level, group level, ultimately organizational level. Because adopting some kind of new practice in organization, there is always, and I think the 99% cases, you can find some kind of resistance from individual level, group level, organizational level. Now see what way you can overcome it, and what are the factors which lead to resistance to change. One by one we can have some discussion. The definitions of change, organizational change given by Barnes 2004. Organizational change refers to the complete or partial acceptance of a new idea, approach or behavior by members within an organization. Organizational change is the process by which organizations move from present state to some desired future state to increase their effectiveness. Jones 2004. Means that change is the practice of acceptance of new idea. We need to change that because of we need to attain something. If we clear that what we want to attain, then definitely change process will be very useful. If we are not clear what we want to attain, then change process, change initiation may not be effective. Change is good, it is also often hard, but to succeed in business you must run towards it. Deb Karpin. Sometimes when you innovate, you make mistakes. It is best to admit them quickly and get on with improving your other innovation. Business unit has to change itself rapidly. It is not a matter of choice but compulsion. Change or perish is the new slogan. Example of organizational change: abandoning an old product, adding a new product, enriching the features of a product, modernization of the product, improving the quality of service. And I think this is some of example in particular organizations that may be change may be in different area also, marketing area, finance area, HR area. So we can have a lot of examples like as performance appraisal mechanism. We need to change the existing system of performance appraisal mechanism, which is oftenly resisted from employees group of people. So that cases adoption of new practice of performance appraisal is one of the great things. What way you can nurture this kind of things, new practice of performance appraisal. If you clear about for what purpose exactly you want to appraise the people, then definitely people will accept it. If you are adopting this kind of practice basically for watching the people, for controlling the people, perhaps employees may not accept it, this kind of change. So change mechanism is somewhat different, process is somewhat different. Now see causes of organizational changes. Why change? External changes, internal changes. External changes are called no control changes. Change in technology, change in demand, change in government policy, change in society, change in strategies of competitor, global changes, other external causes. That means external changes, no control change. No control changing means change in technology, change in demand, change in government policies, change in society. I am repeating this thing again and again because it is no control change. It is basically external change. You don't have any control over it. It is very uncertain, and this is the sum of factors we have to change ourselves. And these are the sum of external factors. Some of internal factors like as internal change within control change, change in higher position, change in management policies, the domino effect, organizational life cycle, labor problems, poor financial performance, internal crisis, desire for growth, other internal causes. So within control change, internal changes very important part of any organization. Students need to understand for what purpose this kind of changes. Internal changes like as domino effect is one of the example I am telling you, that because of one change lot of subsequent changes are required, and that is within control the organizations. So this is the one of the internal factors. Internal crisis, that's why you need to change. Then desire for growth, organizational life cycle, labor problems, these are all some of practice basically that is happening, that because of that change is required. Labor problem, we need to change. What kind of labor problem? That may be because of quality of work life, that because of trade union leadership problems, maybe there is the problem of relationship among the three different parties of IR, industrial relations like as government, employer and trade union employee. So causes may be different, but which is within control, which is within premises of organizations, and that can be handled because we have complete control over it, but we have to change it. Now process of organizational change, plan change refers to change activities that are intentional and goal oriented. As P. Robbins, that is the plan change means we are planning for change. And I think that where is the organizations, which type of organizations are having more change program, change activities, like as identify the need for change is very important. Identify the need for change. Identify the need for change means for what purpose you are supposed to change, what is the essence of change, for what purpose you are supposed to searching some new alternatives. So plan change is something like that. We are seeing the organizations coming 50 years, coming 50, 70 years, what will be the shape of organizations. So that cases Without plan change is not possible. Unplanned change, that means anything can be happened, we have to change ourselves. Now analyze the causes of the problem, develop possible alternatives, select the best alternatives, implement the selected alternatives, get feedback. These are the plan changes basically, that means we need to change our organizations that because of some useful things likely to adopt in our organizations. Now resistance to change is very common if change is planned. Resistance to change means some people oppose, some people are not agreeing with the change process. Resistance occurs when the change is not interpreted well or understood. The manager's role is to clarify the meaning of change. Resistance is very real, common issue that is faced by change manager during the process of change. The basic purpose behind the resistance to change is to get it cancelled. Now see what exactly we mean to express here, basically resistance to change. Disagreement is very common thing. Some people demand some kind of improvement of policy, they have the different opinion. I just quote some example in the field of HR. Say for example, that is one of the issue of organization, that is the training. Now to whom training to be imparted? To all of new recruitees? Yes, some specific group of people. Now this is the policy of the organization, what to do, but your policy should be like that. Those who are entirely new, they are from the different branch of study, but their job is somewhat different. This is happening now. Engineering people, civil engineering people, now they are appointed as executive different good positions of the IT companies, of any IT companies, as software engineer, project officer, but their basic branch is civil. Sometimes chartered accountant, they are getting job as manager in some organizations. So what exactly we need basically, those who are from the different track, they are not from their main core area is not matched with their job, definitely they need the training. The policy level change is required. And I think we must listen the people, those who are going to be imparted the training programs or development programs. My submission is that resistance is common. Resistance is very widely to be analyzed very carefully, so that through this resistance one can learn a lot of things, they can modify their policies and everything. Now see the resistance at individual level: economic reason, psychological reasons, social reasons. Economic reasons means fear of unemployment, fear of decline of financial incentives, fear of decline in promotional avenues, need for extra knowledge and skills. Psychological reason is that attack on ego, fear of boredom, monotony, and attachment to old habits, harder work. Social reasons: breaking up old social relationship, new social relations being lesser attractive. Attack on social status, no consultation before change. So individual level there are three different issues: economic reason, psychological reason, social reason. Now see students, in organizational change what is very important, management of resistance. What way you can cope up with the resistance, and if people are not happy with the system, oftenly they oppose the adoption of new techniques or methods or procedures. Psychological reason is more common, that may disturb the status, that may hurt on ego. But economic reasons, of course, it equally important, that need for extra knowledge and skills, fear of unemployment. Social reasons is more important part, attack on social status. If we adopt this kind of change, then definitely some people believe my status may reduce. So this kind of thoughts, this kind of practice are very common. So that is at individual level, we need to study at group level also. Group norms, group cohesiveness, group thinking, this is very important. Group norms, shared rules and expectation within group can resist change as members prefer to stick to established way of working. Group cohesiveness, when group is highly bonded, tightly bonded, members may collectively oppose change to protect their unity and comfort zone. Group thinking, a strong desire for agreement may prevent critical thinking, causing the group to resist new ideas or change to avoid conflict. So these are all very important part of resistance to change at group level. See, some of points as I raised here, group cohesiveness, suppose in particular organization, some groups are there, that groups are tightly bound, but one or two people within the group, they are not agreed. Despite of their disagreement, they are supposed to support to their majority group people. So this is the resistance to change at group level. And the group norms is very important part. Group norms here, there is some norms, practice, no any people go beyond the group. Although groups are not highly bonded, but that is the norm, but no one can go against the group. And that is the one kind of resistance to change at group level. Resistance to change at organizational level, resource constraints, lack of money, time, staff hinders changes, organizational climate, rigid or negative culture, blocks new ideas, structural inertia, fixed system, rules slow down change, fear of reduction in authority, leaders worry about losing power, fear of large scale resistance, concern that many employees will oppose the change. Now see, this is some of organizational level. Resource constraints may be one of the important part, or one of the important things what I observed basically, practically, fear of reduction in authority. Sometimes some groups of people, they are not accepting, they really resist that because of there may be the chances of losing power. Organizational constraint is very much common, but organizational constraints one has to keep in mind when they want to adopt any kind of policy or practices. Now see, overcoming resistance to change, to make scientific planning, participation, to make consultation before change, to establish effective communication network, to negotiate with probable opponents, to make arrangement for training, to manipulate obstacle creators, coercion. There are some kind of things overcoming resistance to change. And I think what way you can overcome it, it's not the techniques of the leadership. Through leadership is not possible everything, but so many other components one has to take care, like as negotiate with the probable opponents to make agreement, arrangement for training, to manipulate obstacles creators. I think it's not the leadership, it is the some kind of diplomacy which is required basically when you try to adopt any kind of change in organizations. Now see, identifying the obstacle creators, few people may be at group level or individual level, majority cases it is individual level. And I am telling you, and group level also, I think that majority of the people they want to change themselves and they are ready to accept it, but few people disagreement that creates major difference. So overcoming is very important things in the sense that what are the strategy is very important so that one can overcome this kind of change, because change is one of the particular time frame. If you are not changing yourself within particular time frame, you may be the loser, you may lose some of important opportunities. So some other points like as Lewin's 3-step model for implementing change is very important part, students, unfreezing, changing and the refreezing. Now, this is very important. Lewin's model of 1947 implementation. What way can implement the change process? One has to clear very seriously. Now, see what is that exactly? Basically, unfreezing means understand what you want to change. Familiar with the change process, and you just mentally ready. That means we need to adopt some kind of change. Then changing process really start the change. Effort to get employees involved in the change process. Rephrasing is nothing, stabilizing a change intervention by balancing, driving or restraining process. But this process we must be clear that people are accepting the new norms, new policies, stabilizing the change process, stabilizing the new norms. So, unfreezing, changing, 3 different steps given by Lewin in 1967, much popular nowadays everywhere. The moment you want to change something, keep familiarity with that particular change process. Understand what are the pros and cons, everything. Familiar with the different affected parties and start the changing, second part. Last part, rephrasing, as I told several times, that means rephrasing is the process, we need to stabilize it. We must ensure that people are accepting the change process, accepting the new norms. Now see, change agent is very important part. I think change is not possible without change agent. Not the leadership I am telling you. That may be the internal people, that may be the external people. We need some people, those who can change the process. What is the internal change agent? Persons who act as catalyst or assume the responsibility for managing change activities. Any resistance in introducing change is overcome by the change agent. A change agent is a person from inside or outside the organizations who helps the organizations transition itself by focusing on such matters as organizational effectiveness, improvement and development. The change agents have to live with the consequences of their actions, may be more thoughtful, may be more cautious. Then we will be the change manager basically. Who is the person? Those who can help to change. Now see, 3 different parts as I told here. That means change manager must be knowing consequences of change. I think what way you can spread this message among the group of employees is very important. Otherwise, that may lead some kind of rumor and that destroy the entire change process. And we have very important example when initially Government of India tried to adopt networking computerization in different government office. I can understand that there was that time huge opposition from different group of people. Some kind of rumor were there that times, that means employees may lose their job, employees may be punished, employees may be some other severe consequences. As a result, computation, networking and other things that consumes huge times for adopting computation, networking in India, different government offices and other things. Now see, in change process, what is very important, change manager has to be very thoughtful. Thoughtful in the sense, he must articulate the things very systematic way so that your change may be very scientific and may have the good output. Now, external change agents can offer an objective perspective, usually have an inadequate understanding of the organizational history, culture, operating procedure and personnel, don't have to live with the repercussions, unintended consequences of an event or actions after the change is implemented. So, this is very important part, external change agents. We can use some other agency basically for adopting some kind of practices or change the existing practices. But thing is that once if you are not clear exactly what way the people to be used basically in the change mechanism, because external people is not within organizations, from outside parties, but acceptability is very important things. Normally, if we try to adopt some external people from outside, trade union supposed to oppose, that may lead some kind of problems. Role of change agents as facilitator, consultant and counselor to overcome the resistance, to diagnose the present situation, to help carrying the change process, to formulate strategies for change, to train the internal change agents for implementation of the change process, to use the behavioral skill to deal with emotional and social problem of employees. So many things are there, basically what kind of qualities are needed. I think these are all the outcome of some kind of research. What is very important, understanding the, diagnose the present position. Strategy creation is also one of the main issues. Help carrying the change process, to train the internal change agents for implementing the change process, to use behavioral skill to deal with emotional and social problem of employees. So these are all the things one has to be very carefully analyzed when change agents is used basically to transform the organizations in different area. Some of questions framed for you people basically that can help you to learn the lecture very systematically. What type of change is caused by change? Changes in strategies of competitors. What steps comes before planning and implementing change in an organizations? Job security concerns during organizational transitions are part of what kind of resistance reasons? Which skills does a change agent use to handle emotional and social employee issues? Now see, all these questions, I think that will give you the clear-cut idea that what change mechanism, change process to be adopted. But give the message to the employees, change process is very important thing, change is very important, that things of managing change, things of communicating the change process and its outcome among the different group of people is the toughest, most important practice which need to be adopted. These are all the things you must be studying if you follow these particular questions. Then some of books and the reference I have given you basically for your ready reference that can help you basically. Some of research papers like as Origin of Lewin's 3-step model of change, the Journal of Applied Behavioral Science. You can see this particular journal, that is the Barnes B 2020, that is the research paper that will help you basically that change process to be adopted in certain organizations. Now students, the organizational change, the 4th lecture, what I delivered basically in 4th lecture, identifying the change area, which area need to be changed in organizations, maybe in specific area, marketing, finance area, as far as work style is concerned, as far as HR domain is concerned, particular whole things may not be changed, some particular area need to be identified properly. Then second important thing is the identifying the change agent and who is to change and what's his credibility. Employees, they are accepting this kind of change agent or not. Third important thing, what is very important for me and you people also, when you try to adopt any kind of change, communication mechanism. Because communication normally destroys the change process. If you are highly communicative people, strong leadership, and you are capable enough to express your opinion, good opinion about change very brilliantly within reasonable point of time, then definitely your change process will give you the good results and very few people may resist. So thank you very much for listening this lecture of organizational change. Thank you.